right, you bunch of yahoos. Strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
I think the biggest issue that we have is the big media drives fear, drives complacency, drives like you can't get rid of the First Amendment, but freedom of speech and media and all that other stuff. But if they had integrity and they actually reported the news instead of trying to drive fear and chaos into the country, then we would still be fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, I agree. But there was a time, though, if you did print a story or you talk about a story and you did not have the facts, you were held liable at that point in time.
Not anymore.
And you'd have to do a retraction. I mean, that's the sad part about it is like, yeah, there's certain sources to be. If I'm reading the National Enquirer, that's one magazine. Right. I expect to see mothers who got impregnated from aliens from outer space, but I don't expect that to be on my television. You know. Off of one of the major networks.
Well, sure. Up to 9 months ago, we were awesome, for 4 years.
Okay, well, let's go ahead there first, Frye. I saw you about ready to say something more witty here.
You want me to do the math for you, Severn?
Related to money, I understand it better.
Trump. How's that?
Yeah.
That's money. That's successful money.
And we also have we've forgotten. We as Americans, because we have like so much opulence, and there's this and where people are talking about oppression and all this other nonsense. In the United States, there's no oppression.
There's none.
There's some microaggression. Sure. There's no oppression. But, 9/11 this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11 coming up.
Yeah.
We've forgotten. We have, 9/11 was horrific, but it brought the nation together. It brought, other nations hate the United States because of what we have and the awesomeness that we have. And after 9/11, other countries were like, oh, you're we support you. We support everything that you do. We're sorry that what happened to you. And then, and then the media gets involved. But we're quick to forget tragedy and whatever. And, then the media comes and they manipulate the truth. So you only think about what they want you to think about because that's what sells.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the sad part. As I refer to it all the time, the sheeples of this world, if you watch enough of one brand of news and you don't explore a little bit of some other stations and that, or the internet, you will definitely be led to believe in only one direction.
100%.
And that's what I think you got them blinders on and you're seeing straight ahead. So,
So you're in Hawaii.
I am in Hawaii.
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm in Arizona, but.
Yeah. And why'd you come to Arizona?
To hang out with you guys.
Damn right. What are you going to do this weekend?
So this weekend, flying to New York City, we're doing and Ray Cashcare did this with me last year. He's doing it with me again this year. We're doing a swim across the Hudson River. And it's to bring awareness to homeless veterans, to bring awareness to veteran suicide. It's to bring awareness to the 20th anniversary of 9/11. It's to bring awareness to Extortion 17, which was the other helicopter that was shot down 10 years ago. So it's the 10th anniversary of Extortion 17 being shot down. It's the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And so what we're doing is we're going to start it somewhere in New Jersey at one park. We do about 100 push-ups. We grab flags, and right now there's about 170 of us, I think, SEALs, first responders, and other patriots. We're going to do like a 2-mile run with flags along the river, the Hudson River, to another park. We put the flags away. Some people put them on a bus and take them over to New York. We get in the water. We swim out to the Statue of Liberty. We do 100 push-ups out there. We do 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. And then we get back in the water. We swim over to Ellis Island. We do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. And then we get back in the water and we swim down to Lower Manhattan, where we grab our flags. We run down to the 9/11 Memorial, where there's more pull-up bars. Then we drop the flags off. we do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups, and then we will place flags on, like little mini flags on the around the 9/11 memorial. So in commemoration, to remember, all the people who died, to remember that, terrorists came and like attacked us, but we're also, remember the veterans, the people, the first responders, the people who have sacrificed to protect this nation and make it great. And it's a hard event. Like, I did it last year, and it was a kick in the balls. And Ray, if Ray were here right now, he would tell you exactly the same thing. It's a really hard thing to do, but that's one of the reasons we're doing it. We're going out there, we're going to go crush it, and raise money and bring awareness.
Wow, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that's obviously got to be an all-day event. I mean, just to be able to do all that stuff.
It's a few hours for sure.
No, they do that before lunch.
Well, you lost me on that swim there. I don't look too masculine if I have to have my little floaties on there.
I thought you were hyperventilating when you heard the word lunch. Well, that'd be free. That'd be free lunch.
That might be the dangling carrot that makes me through.
Yeah.
There's lunch on the other side. Well, Severn's gonna make it.
And it's funny. Wow. I'm not a good swimmer. I hate swimming. But part of doing this event is like not being mediocre, not doing hard shit. Right. Like, you should always challenge yourself, challenge your body, challenge your mind, do hard things, and that's part of killing mediocrity. And so if I can totally not do it. No one's going to judge me.
Right.
I want to do it because it's hard and because it's for a good cause. And, it's just one more way for me to kill mediocrity in my own life.
Well, again, it's you reach more people when you use your own life as an example to others.
Right.
So, yeah. No, it's that's huge. And again, like you said before, surround yourself with like-minded individuals or as close as possible. But that way everyone helps raise each other in the process. So, I try to do this with a lot of people. I meet a lot of athletes. I do a lot of seminars, doing submission grappling this or amateur wrestling that. And if you want to excel, you got to set those goals, and you have to then know how to move towards those goals, setting those different steps, and knowing that, just like you said before, you're going to have some failures along the way, and overcoming those failures, or just keep trying again. I mean, it's I had to use a computer to get through to one student at one point in time. I was completely lost on this one kid. For whatever reason, it just dawned on my mind. I asked him, "Do you play video games?" Oh my God! His eyes lit up that he loves playing video games. I go, "Well, when you first played video games, how were you?" He goes, "Oh, I was horrible." Well, why were you horrible? Because I hadn't played it enough. I go, "So the more that you played the game, it's kind of like practicing the same move over and over. The more that you play the game, you get better. The more that you practice this maneuver, the better you're going to get with that." And I think, and he finally got it. And as I was walking away, I felt my head going. Then I had to use a laptop or a computer here to get to someone. But at the same token, it's kind of going. At least I got to him, and it registered to him. He finally understood what it meant to try.
Yeah. That's the world we live in now.
Yeah. You want to dive off. You want to dive off into cement. So speaking of diving, what's your diving experience in the?
So, like I talked about earlier, I don't like. I don't like diving that much anymore.
No, you say you don't like swimming.
No, I don't like swimming either. I like surfing. I like free diving, where you hold your breath and you go down and hunt for fish. So it's just another way to hunt, gather food, and it's a skill set. And it's hard to like hold your breath underwater, and you're like, I like to say I have micro lungs. Like, I can't hold my breath that long. I have held my breath for 4 minutes.
Well, fudge.
But it was under a very
big woman, huh?
A very big woman. It was a very controlled environment where we're practicing free diving, and the Navy paid for like the best free divers in the world to come out and teach us how to do it. And so we just had our face in the water, and with their mask on, and you have a buddy watching you, and your hands are on the side of the pool, and there's a guy, like, it was super zen, and like, but he's trying to be like calm, and like, so a 4-minute breath hold static is equal to a 2-minute working breath hold. So what we were working up to is swimming down to 120 feet, touch a plate, and then swim back to the surface. And so as I'm like at like a minute and a half, I'm already like, but I just did that for the next 3.5 minutes or 2.5 minutes. But it was miserable. And then what was actually worse than that was the 2-minute exhalation breath hold. So you take a deep breath and then you blow it out, and then you hold your breath for 2 minutes. That was harder than a 4-minute breath hold.
Yeah.
But it was like, you can totally do it. Anyone can do it, was basically what they were showing. And, that comes back to that never quit. Like, also, I'm surrounded by a bunch of badasses that are all doing it with me. So I'm not going to be the first one to, like, come up and, like, breathe when everyone else that is maybe junior than me are doing it also. So I'm just like, nope,
So your ego overcame your
my
fear
ego,
of death.
100%, yes. And generally, like, ego is a good thing or it's a bad thing. You just got to know when it's good and when it's bad. So for me, it was good because I don't think I would have ever lived that down if I would have quit before anyone else. So I just kept going. And then, but also the other piece of it is, like, when you go down, you swim down and you hit that plate and you're coming back up. When I was going down to that 120 foot, you're like super streamlined, you're kicking, you're relaxed, and eventually, like, gravity really takes over and pulls you down. But, and you're counting your kicks. It's very, like, kind of methodical. And I counted my kicks and I'm like, I should be there by now. I don't know why I'm not there. And then I stopped and I looked to see how far away the plate was from me. And it was about 10 more feet. I could have turned around and gone back to the surface.
Yeah.
But I was like, nope, I got to touch the plate. That's what I have to do. And so I got completely out of, like, alignment of, like, swimming down. And so I had to, like, kind of turn my body, get back into alignment, used a bunch of oxygen, go down, hit the plate, turn around, and, like, come back to the surface. And there's an instructor. He's, like, watching you and filming you, and he's there for safety. And I, like, hit the thing, and I'm on my way back, and I'm like, oh my God. I have a long way to go back to the surface. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. So I gave him and so he, like, came up closer to me just in case I blacked out on the way to the surface. But yeah, that was super hard. But as far as, like, diving goes in the SEAL teams, we use a rebreather, and it's a closed circuit rig. It's 100% O2, and there's a bunch of safety parameters that go along with it. But the way that we get where we're going is you have a compass, a depth gauge, and a watch, and you follow a bearing for a certain amount of time, and then once you hit that bearing at that certain amount of time, you turn, and then you go another bearing for a certain amount of time, and then you turn and you go another bearing at a certain amount of time to get where you're going. And you have to remember all this stuff in your head, how long for how far, in case something happens to you, get compromised, and the enemy, like, looks at your notes that you have. Right. That's not cool. But also, you don't really know where you are when you're underwater. Right. You're like, you think you're there, but you don't really know. Like, you didn't know that you can't, like, feel the current. It's like maybe pushing you off. And so navigating underwater is super complex and very hard, and it sucks. And you could be underwater for up to 4 hours on that rig, breathing 100% O2, and then you're pissed off at your buddy because there's this thing called O2 toxicity, and it makes you, like, super pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
And, and there have been many arguments underwater because you have this regulator, this mouthpiece in your mouth, and you can't let any water into the mouthpiece because if you do, it could flood out your rig. And then, so what you do is you exhale, your CO2 goes into the CO2 scrubber. It looks like kitty litter. And you push out the oxygen, but it keeps the CO2 in this kitty litter. And then it goes into a breathing bag, and then you also have another bottle that adds more CO2. So as you breathe out, there's less O2 in the air that you breathe out. It cleans the CO2, and then and it adds more O2 volume to the breathing bag. It's just a loop. But if you let water into your mouthpiece or into your rig in any way, shape, or form, then it gets into that kitty litter, that CO2 scrubber, and it turns into this acid. and it'll bubble up and it'll bubble right back into your mouth, and you're like 20 feet, and you start breathing in this acid. It's not a pleasant experience. Now you have to
you start hallucinating, or
figure out how to
real
get
acid, or
like you're getting it's not that kind of acid. It's the kind that burns your mouth. So you're like,
shit.
you have to you practice all these contingencies. Like, what if this happens? These emergency procedures. What if your buddy passes out underwater? What if so you practice all these sort of emergency procedures.
You're like, I'm pissed at him. Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, one of the things that happens is you for sure are like you're either swimming too fast or you're swimming too slow, or you don't know where you are, and your buddy's like, what the fuck, and you're just cussing at one another underwater, under a ship. You can't see, it's total darkness, and so that's kind of what combat diving is all about. It's not sexy. It's not, you're not looking at the beautiful coral reef. You're you're looking at a compass and a depth gauge and a watch. You ever get attacked by anything besides your swim buddy, like a swordfish or a jellyfish? I have not. I've never seen a shark. I've never seen, at least they could have been there. I know they were there because other guys that were diving in the same area. I know in Puerto Rico, there was, we were on a dive at night, and 4 different swim pair on the same dive. We're all on the same dive. Said a 10-foot hammerhead swam right in front of them. I would have been shitting myself. But I did see in buds, because I don't like swimming. I do it, and I'm always afraid that a shark is going to eat me any moment. And so that's just a fear I have to just deal with. But when you swim in a combat side stroke. You're facing your swim buddy as you swim. One guy's facing this way, one guy's facing this way. And I came up to breathe, and I looked, and there was a dorsal fin right behind my buddy. And I was like, oh, shit. And I grabbed him. I was like, dude, shark. And actually, it was a pod of dolphins that were swimming right between us. Wow. They were right. I was like, holy, that was cool. I was scared, and now I'm impressed. There's dolphins around, so I don't feel like there's going to be any sharks. So we continued on. I'm in love. Yeah. Dolphins. Yeah. But yeah, it was a big dorsal fin too. It was no joke. Friend to foe. Yeah, exactly. Wow. I was out on the island of Guam at one occasion, and a number of the Navy SEAL guys took me out snorkeling, and as I'm out there, you could, it's such clearness. You could just see for quite a ways, but in the back of my mind, I kept hearing that little tune, don't. 100%. Don't. I'm thinking they're going to bypass all these sharks. Going to bypass all these military personnel because they were only about 150 to about 170 pounds. I'm thinking, and they're looking at the buffet here. Yeah, they get bellyache. They get bellyache on you. Well, they'll be bringing me over as leftovers, with leftovers. And we would always joke about if the shark comes along, you stab your buddy and you swim away. Yeah. Speaking of stabbing, I gotta go take a leak. I gotta pee. Hydrate, baby. Well, while he's gone, let's continue here. Let's do it. Well, if you don't mind. So let's just. I'll tell you a quick shark story. So out in San Clemente Island. So the third phase of BUDS is land warfare, and we were out there in San Clemente, and you fly in, and the first thing that they do. By the way, San Clemente is the 3rd largest breeding ground for great white sharks. Just FYI, and so. We come in, we unload, we put all of our stuff away, and we're living on the island for the next 4 weeks. So you put everything away. It's getting dark. We go into the classroom, and they show us an hour-long video of Shark Week from the Discovery Channel about great whites and San Clemente Island and all this other stuff, and sharks hitting. And so all before you head out. Right. Well, we're on the island, and then it's nighttime, and they're like, okay. All right, in the classroom, and they give us this whole big, brief all about sharks. Then we watch the video of sharks coming out of the water and hitting these seals and all this other stuff. And then they're the movie was over. They're all right, go get your swim gear. Be on the beach in 15 minutes. And we're like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not getting in the water.
What did we just watch?
Yeah, exactly. And you're swimming with, so we did like a mile swim, and I think it's the fastest as any of us ever swam before in our life. And what made it worse is we had to wear chem lights, like little glow sticks on our, so you always swim with a life jacket. Like if your buddy, goes tits up, you pull this inflatable CO2 cartridge and it inflates in his life jacket so you can like tow him to safety. Or if he gets eaten by a shark, you can like blow it up and like let him whatever. But now you've got this
back
like,
whatever's left.
Right. And I'm sure there was something in the video about like, sharks hunt at night and, they see like, shiny objects and that attracts them and light and whatever. And now we have these glow sticks on and that was not cool, by the way. So yeah, anyway, they're like, get in the water and all right, we're do a swim out to that buoy and then come back. And dude, all of us fast. I don't think we even like barely touched the water. We're like, oh, done. Okay. That was all right. Hopefully we don't ever have to do that again.
You guys were being like Jesus there, walking on water.
Right. Yeah, it was, I don't think it was far from that. It was like, you're in the water. All right, let's get it out, get in and get out. Let's get it done.
Yeah. I don't think, again, that's the only thing I said earlier that not being involved in the military, that's probably the only thing from my life that I haven't really done right there. But that's being organized and just doing what other people won't do. That's right. Been a great part of my life. So same way with Mr. Frye there. It's I think that's how people become successful in almost anything that they look to do. I know we were talking a little bit before. I don't know if we were actually recording at that point in time, but you said that the beard has been something relatively new to your appearance here. So right. How new has it been? And
yeah, so I had no intention of growing a beard when I retired from the military. So in the military, you unless you're doing a special mission, and in Afghanistan we could grow beards because part of
if you want to blend in with the locals.
Yeah, so part of the culture there is like if you have a thick, heavy beard, then that means you're more of a man. Like if you have a skinny little scraggly beard,
right,
you're not very manly. And so much that on my first deployment to Afghanistan. The guy that was in charge of us, he couldn't really grow much facial hair. And so the guy that was like two ranks lower than him would always go up and talk to the village elders because he was like, he had like this massive like man beard and so he just had more street cred because he had more of a beard. And other than that, I never really had any intention of growing a beard ever. But my daughter, who in Hawaii, who's 8, I think she was 6 back then. She was like, Dad, I want you to grow a beard so I can practice braiding on your beard. And I was like, well, that's going to take a little while for me to grow it out. I've never grown it out quite that long. Once it gets too shaggy, I trim it back. But she's certainly she's just started trying to braid it, but actually 2 weeks ago, she was like, your beard, we need to clean it up. And so she took her like first grade, second grade scissors with the round nose. And she sat in my lap and she just like went to work and just started trimming away. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like terrified. I'm like, maybe I have to shave this thing off and start all over again. Wait, I have a podcast coming up out here in Arizona. So I had to like put the brakes on her a little bit. I'm like, hold on. Let's go look in the mirror. But she actually did a pretty good job. She's like, I like it when it's like at a V at the bottom. And so I had like this little V down here at the bottom. It wasn't
the old Van Dyke.
I'm trying to think what cartoon character or something like that would come down with a V or something.
I don't know. She's like, I like it as a V. I'm like, okay, we'll roll with that. Don't cut it all. I like it now. I didn't had no intention of ever growing it. And now I'm like, I see pictures of myself without a beard and I'm like, who is that? I don't recognize that person.
It's a good thing you grew. It breaks up the monotony in your face.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because when you're rocking this head of hair, you don't need much more.
No, it's scary.
Right.
Frightening, huh?
Don, I'm surprised how Quinn has been so quiet there. I mean, you haven't brought on your star.
She's been taking a nap.
She was napping earlier. Yeah.
She's been taking a nap. it was a little hot out here, and she got out in the sun a little bit too much, and so
recovery.
Now she's having chips.
Oh, you got to get that salt intake back up. Is that what it is?
Well, hell, these must be saltless chips. Jeez. It must be like you. They charge extra for salt, so.
Well, I thought you were going to say because you get those day-old chips a whole lot cheaper, something like that.
Just a little stale, not super stale, just a little stale.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, not quite as crunchy.
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.